Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas. It came early. The Arrakis Sandworm, the Black Edition, has finally been delivered. Guys, I ordered this months ago, and I am so excited to finally open this up. But, my lord, why is this worm in my pants? Oh. Alright, I'll stop playing. But obviously, knowing that this is gonna be a multiplayer game, people will make those kind of jokes, as well as the complimentary running you over with their speed bike. Jim, is it called a speed bike? I don't know what they call that thing. So guys, we have Dune Awakening here, and just like my worm, this is a stand-up game. We start off with our usual RPG mechanics, and that includes the character creation tools. We are definitely gonna make a lot of emo-looking people here because freedom of expression. Then from there, we move on to the Bene Gesserit test phase, and I'll tell you right now, guys, I ain't good at tests, so consider my acupunctured. But after surviving that, as many people as do survive that, we are now let loose into the dry, barren desert of Arrakis. Now here we have several other gameplay mechanics at work, such as heat, sunstroke, dehydration. So obviously no one is meant to spend that much time running around in the desert. And I do like that they're going for that kind of realism, because it does add that little bit of survival element to this game. So there's a bit of exploration, there's a bit of scavenging, there's a bit of picking at, what you could find, things that could help you. And of course with multiplayer, we're gonna take it up a notch. Scavenging is gonna be stealing from other players' bases. Speaking of bases, I do actually like the construction system they have going. It seems that it's going to be based on some sort of blueprint concept. Say you would have to have a blueprint that your base is going to be built off of, and you can as well sell that blueprint to other players if it's practical or super popular, and that does open up a lot of good potential for trade. And on the subject of building, I did like the fact that you could actually construct your own onocopter. Basically this thing that is a result of a dragonfly that procreated with a helicopter. I just like any game that gives as much creative freedom to the player to actually just create anything he wants to. Of course, flying this thing around the surface of Arrakis just gives you way more exploration potential. You're able to reach further places and see even more of this gorgeous game. Speaking of graphics, this game is amazing. It looks really, really good. You all can bet all our computers will run as hot as the surface of Arrakis while we are playing this game. So more exploration means finding more stuff, which means crafting more stuff, which means leveling up and getting stronger. Pull up with friends and do that as a party or as a team, and we got a full-blown guild on our hands. So we can definitely expect guild wars, guild battles, players fighting over territory in Arrakis, etc, etc. Humans were very territorial. This game will be a microcosm of our evolutionary society. Which guy and his mother wouldn't like power? And that is where we get into spice. Right after water and avoiding the heat, best believe spice is the most important thing in this game. I can imagine players laying all sorts of turrets and a shitload of traps in their spice fields just to keep all of us rats out of it. And this will just open up new conflicts and new levels of fun for this game. So if you don't have friends, well, you're missing out. Go out there and make some friends, because Dune Awakening seems to be a game best enjoyed with multiple people. And I mean that quite literally, guys. It doesn't seem like we're getting a campaign with this one or any kind of story or single player narrative. Now I know the gameplay reveal trailer did talk a little bit about factions, and they even mentioned the Harkonnens, giving off the idea that you could take quests from them, but that is not the same thing as a story or narrative. Overall, I do love this game, and I think it's a game that is gonna give freedom to players to kind of craft and create their own world within the very heart of Arrakis. It's a kind of craft your own story, craft your own quest kind of game, where the biggest threat you would probably face are other players and maybe of course the sandworms. Now move on to the combat. I'm not a very big fan of the combat in this game. It does seem to have the standard gunfights that you would expect from a sci-fi game, but that's the issue. Dune wasn't really known for guns. In fact, in the world of Dune, combat with blades and knives are way more popular. So think of a worm, but a more sharp worm, one that is made of metal and they are using it to stab you. That is the world of Dune, and that would mean that the devs would have to put more effort into creating an actual combat system that revolves around using blades and swords. But instead, they cheapened out and focused more on gunplay, like every other sci-fi game that has been made before. The gunplay is basic. Not saying anything is wrong with that, but I would have just liked to see more depth in how they actually pull off combat in this game. Because if anyone was to go off just footage of the gunplay, you wouldn't really tell that this is something set in the world of Dune. That is until the worms show up. And obviously I would love to see how deep they take this particular mechanic, because I am a big fan of the sandworms and I do feel like you could weaponize it in the game. Kind of put that little beacon thing in the sand and call the worm out, unleash it on your enemies, so to speak. That would be an amazing gameplay feature. And before you guys ask, yes, my black worm is bigger. Yet another thing to debate in multiplayer. But anyway guys, that's what I think. Tell me what you think of Dune Awakening. This does seem like my kind of game. There's lots to explore, lots to find out, lots of players and people online to meet, and a lot of things to craft. So excuse me while I play with my black worm and you all can talk about it civilizedly in the comment section. Civilizedly? Is that even a word? Civilizedly? Ugh.